Hello, welcome back. So now in this part, we will solve a design problem related to timber column. So our problem is this. So in this, we have to design a timber column for the inside location with the following data. So in this, the type of wood used in the column is of cal tree, and the unsupported length of the column is 3.15 meter, and the axial load which the column has to support is, sorry, this is not 350, this is actually 350 kilonewton. This is 350 kilonewton. So the load which the column has to support is kilonewton. So we have to design the column. So in this, we have to find out what is the dimension of the column, cross-sectional dimension of the column, which is to be provided, which will safely carry this load. And because it says it's a axial load, it means it will be the line of action of the load will be passing through the centroidal axis. So say this is our load P, which the column will be carrying. So the required load here is 350 kilonewton, and the length of column is also given, which is 3.15 meter in this case. So what should be our first step? Obviously, our first step is to estimate the dimensions, which means we will try to estimate a dimension of the column, and then we will check whether this that dimension is sufficient to carry that load or not. So here we are going to estimate the size of column. This estimation of the size of column is mainly estimated with the slenderness ratio criteria. So we know that maximum slenderness ratio, which is allowed in the column design, uh, should not be more than 50. So we know that maximum slenderness ratio should be less than or equals to 50. So can we find out a minimum dimension, which is the least lateral dimension in this case? Can we find out that? Because if we know that SD should be less than or equals to 50, so can we find out this least lateral dimension, which we are calling as D minimum? Because we know that if the lambda value is higher, D value will be the least. And if the lambda value is lower, then this D value will be higher. So therefore, minimum possible cross-sectional dimension as per slenderness ratio criteria. So what we will be doing is we will equate this S by D with 50, and then we will try to find out this D value with this criteria. So with this, we will have an idea what can be the minimum dimension which the column can have with this much lambda value. So as you can see here, S value is 3150, and I mean, here you can see this D value is going on the right hand side and 50 is coming here. So we get the D minimum value, which means the minimum value which we can apply in this case is 63 mm. We cannot have minimum value less than 63 mm. So that is the minimum value. Now, also, as I said earlier, that our intention is to design short column. Our preference will always be to design the short column. And for short column, the limit of lambda is this one, that lambda should be less than 11. Now, in this case, if we are designing short column, what can be the D value? Can we find out that? So yes, we will again equate S by D with 11, and we will try to find out that. So equating it with 11, we get the least lateral dimension of the column as 286.36. So now we have now an idea. We will first assume that we will be designing short column. And for short column, we have equated S by D with 11, and the value comes out as 286. So if we round off the value, if we round off this value to the higher side, then this S by D ratio will always be less than 11. So therefore, what we will do is we will round off this value to say 300 mm. And also there is no mention that whether we should design a rectangular column or square column. So therefore, initially now we will assume that we are designing square column with the sides, with the dimensions as 300 mm by 300 mm. So that is our initial estimation of the size of column. Now, this size is not fixed because we have to check whether this size is sufficient to carry the required load. So here we have, I have written, so assuming the size of column as 300 by 300 mm, and we are actually adopting the square short column. So here our D provided means least lateral dimension provided is 300 mm in this case. So as you can see, we have now the new least lateral dimension. So we will now find out actual lambda value. So what will be the actual lambda value for this dimension? So actual lambda value for this case will be 10.5. And you can see as we have round off this value to higher side, the lambda value is decreased and now it is less than 11. So now we can say that our column, which we have assume the dimensions, the column is short column. Now it is clear that our column is short column. So now in the second step, we will now check whether this size of column is sufficient or not. So we will first see what is the required area of column to be provided for supporting the load, because our column is required to support 350 kilonewton. So what is the required area for supporting this load? We will first find out that. And our area provided is this one. The area we have adopted, 300 by 300 mm. So this is the area provided, and we will find out area required. So if the area provided is higher than required, then we will say that the size of column is sufficient. So here we are now supposed to find out the area required. Now, again, using the stress formula, we know that stress is equals to force upon area. Now, if we consider this stress as the permissible compressive stress, which is FC. Now, because our column is short column, so in this case, FC will be equivalent to FCP. And force is the load, which is already given in the question. And so basically this is the load which is to be supported and which is 350 kilonewton. Similarly, this is the area required. So how much area is required to support this much load? So area required will become load upon stress. So because we know stress is expressed in Newton per mm square, so therefore we have to convert this load into Newton, and then only we can find out the area required. So I have already done the calculation. So area of cross section of column required is axial load, force upon stress. So now this FC value is, as I said, that it is equivalent to FCP, and FCP is the permissible compressive stress parallel to the grain of the column. We know that in the column, fibers run along the length, and you can see load is coming in this direction, and this load is parallel to the fiber. So therefore, we will now, in the permissible stress table, we will now see compressive stress parallel to grain. So we have the table, you can see here. So in the table, we will see here, you can see compression parallel to the grain. So this is the value which we express as FCP. So FCP value can be calculated for the cal wood. So our wood is cal wood, and for cal wood, the value of compression. Also, we are required to understand whether our column is for inside location, outside location, or wet location. So in the question, it is mentioned that our column is for the inside location. So for the inside location, the value of FCP is 5.1. So compression parallel to grain for inside location for cal wood is 5.1 Newton per mm square. So that we will see now. So permissible stress equals to FCP, which is 5.1 Newton per mm square. So we can put this value in the denominator, and in the nominator we have the load, which is the required load, 350 kilonewton. So converting this value, I mean putting this value, and now we can get the area required. So area of column required is 68,627.45 mm square. So that is the area required. Now the area provided we have to check. So for our column size to be safe, this area provided should be higher than this required area. So what is the area provided? We have adopted the size of column as 300 by 300, and the area of this size will be 90,000. So you can see this area provided is higher than required. So it means the size of column we have estimated in first step is safe. So we can say that as the area of cross section of column provided is more than required, size of the column is okay. Now in the next step, we will now find out what is the load carrying capacity of the column for the provided size. So load carrying capacity, again using the stress formula, we know that stress is equals to force upon area. Now this time we will be having stress as permissible stress. Area will be as area provided, which is 90,000. And this time we are required to find out force. Here we are supposed to find out what is the load carrying capacity of the column. So this time we are supposed to find out this force value. We have the area, we have the stress. So force is equals to stress into area. So that is what I have done. So here you can see 300 by 300 is the area, and 5.1 is the permissible stress. And because you can see this area is in mm square and this stress is in Newton per mm square, so the load will be in Newton. To convert that load directly in the kilonewton, we have divided with 10 raised to power 3, so that we can get the value directly in kilonewton. We can do that later also, but here directly we can do that. So the load carrying capacity of the column is 459. You can see the size of column we have provided, which is 300 by 300. This column can take this much load, while the load required to be supported was 350 kilonewton. So you can see here the load carrying capacity is 109 kilonewton higher than the required. What does it mean? It means the size of column we have provided is more than required, which means what we can do is obviously we have to make our structure economical, and here we are designing column. So the size of column should be economical so that it is not costly. So therefore, I have written as the load carrying capacity of the column is too high as compared to the required capacity of 350 kilonewton. So what we will do is we will now revise the size of column. It means earlier we have adopted 300 by 300. So what we will do is now we will reduce the area provided, because even in the previous step you can see here you can see area required was 68,627 while we were providing 90,000, which was very high. So therefore what we can do is we can reduce this area, but that reduced area should be higher than this area. So in that case, what we will do is we will adopt the column size as 250 by 300 mm. So this time our column becomes of rectangular size. So here what we have done is we have reduced one of the side of the column so that the area of cross section is reduced, because here you can see we are actually required to reduce this area. So therefore this time our new column size is 250 mm by 300. And why we are doing that? Because to reduce the load carrying capacity, because it is too high than required. So therefore we have to again redesign it. So this time the least lateral dimension, because our column becomes rectangle one. So this time this is the 250 and this is the 300, and the length of column is 3.1 meter. So this time least lateral dimension becomes 250. So we now have to find out again the lambda value so that we can identify whether our column is short or long or intermediate. So therefore, D value this time is 250. And we now have to find out lambda value again. So lambda is S by D, S value is 3150 and D value is 250. So lambda value is 12.60. So you can see this 12.60 exceeding the value of 11, which means now our column is no longer short column. It can be either long column or intermediate. Now, whether it is long or intermediate, for that we have to find out K8 value. So here we are supposed to find out K8 value, because now we know our column is not short column. It may be long or intermediate column depending on the value of K8. So K8 value can be calculated by this relation. We have already discussed this in the previous part. So in this, we are required to find out E value of the Kelwood, and FCP value we already know, which is 5.10. So to find out E value, we will again go to the table. So here we have the table, and modulus of elasticity is in the third column. So for the Kelwood, the modulus of elasticity is 9.67 kilonewton per mm square. So that is the value we can find out from the table. So E value is 9.67 kilonewton per mm square. Similarly, FCP value is 5.1 Newton per mm square. So putting these value in the formula. So here you can see this E value is in kilonewton per mm square. So we have to convert this into Newton, and that is why we have multiplied with 10 raised to power 3. So putting all the value, we get the value of K8 as 25.43. So now you can see the lambda value is higher than 11, but it is less than K8. What does it mean? It means our column is intermediate. Our column is intermediate column. So here, that is the conclusion. We have the intermediate column. So therefore, we now have to find out permissible compressive stress for intermediate column, because in the short column, we used to have FC is equals to FCP, but in intermediate column, it is not equivalent to FCP. We have to calculate this FC value by using the relation. So that relation we have discussed earlier. So this is the relation. In this, we have to put all the value. We have FCP value, we have S value, D value, K8 value. So putting all the values in this relation, we get the value of FC as 5 Newton. So as you can see, for short column, it was 5.1, but now for intermediate column, it is now reduced. As I have said earlier, that as the column slenderness ratio increases, its permissible compressive stress decreases. So FC value now is 5 Newton per mm square. So now again, we will find out the revised load carrying capacity, because now we have the new cross-sectional area. We have now the new value of FC. So what is the revised load carrying capacity? So revised load carrying capacity is area of column multiplied by FC value whole divided by 10 raised to power 3 to get the value directly in kilonewton. So the value is 374, as you can see here, and this is still higher than 350, but we can say that it is on the safer side. So always the load carrying capacity of this column, which we design, should be higher than the required load carrying capacity. So our condition is satisfied. So we can say that the column of Kelwood of size 250 by 300 mm will be sufficient to carry the required load. So this is how we design the timber column. So that concludes our design problem. Thank you. We will continue our discussion in the next lecture.